And one of the great components also of the book, which is sort of translated into this area of where we stand today, of course, is the issue of, you want to call it the deep state, you want to call it the military-industrial complex, you can call it what you want, but there is a shadow government that does exist. It's very real. It's a combination of a lot of different agencies, but obviously the one at the very top is the Central Intelligence Agency. And there is this belief that they really are the ones that are running the government, running the country, and in some ways running the world. And so as it is related to the way it was written into the book, this idea of, well, we're basically going to have to declare martial law and we're going to take over. The scary part for me, and I always felt that when it came to the liberal class in American politics, particularly in the years of Trump, and you're still seeing it now, there was an embrace of that deep state military-industrial complex by that particular class of anti-Trumpers that were out there that just could never wrap their mind around this idea that somebody who wasn't technically part of the machine was somehow able to find their way in, regardless of whether you like them or not. It created this sort of chaotic situation that they didn't really know how to deal with.
Oh, it poked a hole in the matrix.
And so as a result of that, I still use as a great example, and I think this speaks volumes based on how this book was written. I remember maybe in like 2017, 2018, Bill Maher had John Brennan, the former head of the CIA, on his show and was celebrating this man. And the crowd was cheering for this man. And all I'm thinking is, well, they really know how to propagandize this country. Like they really know how to just wrap everybody around their finger and turn these, what I consider to be enemies of the state, into absolute glorified heroes in the worst possible way. Sometimes, as you like to say, there are no heroes.
No.
There are no good guys in these circumstances.
No, sometimes there are no good guys. Well, that's the thing. We like a dichotomy. Everybody likes a good guy and a bad guy.
They want their team that they want to root for. And yet the way you explain it is, it's going to get framed in such a way that people are going to be embracing Big Brother taking them over. And that to me was the scariest. And I say scary from the standpoint of a realistic circumstance that I don't think we should be ignoring, because, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's happening in Ukraine.
Yeah, right.
So we really need to recognize that this is a not all too impossible scenario where the deep state military industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, figures out a way to take over this country. And I think that that was a very important point that you guys wrote because of just how divided this nation has become.
Yeah, when someone asked me what the most likely path is for the U.S., I answered this without thinking, and when I answer without thinking, it's probably what I really think. but I said, I said we're probably going to slump our way into authoritarianism, and I still think that's the case, where Americans are getting so disillusioned and nihilistic and negative and checked out, and like they'll throw our hands up, and then when there is some kind of strongman or usurpation of political power, like a lot of Americans will be like, all right, it'll be like that. But one of the dynamics for this is the media, and the media has taken on the role of essentially institutional elevators and defenders. And then if you go against the institutions, and the media tries to cast you out and shiv you in a particular way. And then more and more Americans are not very pumped about the institutions or the media. Now the mistrust of the media has taken partisan flavor, where I think only 19% of Republicans believe corporate media. You look at Democrats at 69%. And so the Democrats have become the last bastions of the institutions, and more Americans are saying, no, no, no. One of the fascinating things really has been the challenges to the establishment on the left, because the Democratic controlled media, you can see them kind of springing to action when there's something going on that side.
They're like DEFCON 1.
Yeah, and whereas on the Republican side, it's more muddied and complicated because what's funny is that a lot of the Republican voters don't like institutions, don't like the press. If you say to them fake news, they're like, yeah. And also, a lot of them don't even like their own party. Is one of the things that someone explained to me. It's one reason why, if you have something like get rid of party primaries in a state like Alaska, like a lot of Republicans will vote for it. By the way, getting rid of party primaries is going to be on the ballot in Nevada again, Arizona, Idaho, maybe some other places. So that's one of the big opportunities in this cycle, is that if you can get rid of party primaries in enough places, you might have a different, more people-focused approach to government.
What would that look like? I'm trying to pick, like, what kind of primaries would there be if it wasn't party primaries?
So Alaska is the best illustration, Jen. They voted to get rid of party primaries in 2020. And then in 2022, what they did is they had every candidate participates in an all-candidate primary. So you had Sarah Palin and then another Republican and then Mary Peltola runs. They all run in the same primary. And then the top 4 candidates get through to the general, and then they get chosen via ranked choice voting. So this is how Mary Peltola beat Sarah Palin, which I'm going to suggest is an awesome thing. But it's also how Lisa Murkowski fended off Kelly Shabaka as a Trump-endorsed challenger. And Lisa Murkowski voted to impeach Trump. And then Trump came for revenge, but there was no Republican primary. So it was much harder for him to get revenge. And then it essentially went to ranked choice voting, and Lisa Murkowski won, let's call it, 52-48. So it wasn't a slam dunk, but it's one reason why I'm pro ranked choice voting in this way. If you get rid of party primaries and have ranked choice voting, then our leaders actually are accountable to 51% of us, which is the dream. Right now, you imagine that they're beholden to 51% of us, but they're really beholden to the 10 to 12% who control the primary, which is something you experienced too, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the primary is a train wreck. So basically, I find it interesting, though, that what we're talking about are red states that are now having what sounds like a jungle primary followed by ranked choice voting. That's what that sounds extremely progressive for some of those red places. I find that very telling. Well,
what it is, Jen, is it's extremely liberating for voters because you can actually vote for whoever you want. You can't get bullied. The party doesn't control it as tightly. And to your point about the nature of the states that have done it, the 3 states that have voted this in are Maine, Alaska, and Nevada. And I guess you'd call Alaska and Maine reddish, and then Nevada's purple.
Libertarian-ish. They're libertarian places. They kind of are like very like.
They're independent. They're independent minded. They are. And so Arizona taking a shot. Arizona's purple, I would say, very, very, very swingy. Idaho is reddish. So it's fascinating. Who's considering it legislatively, which is unusual but awesome, is Wisconsin. And they're purple.
That's not surprising, though. That's not surprising. Wisconsin has a very long history of like populism.
So it's populist, really, is what it is. It's power to the people. It's power to the people instead of power to the parties. So this nonpartisan primary shift that could return power to the people is, in some ways, the primary mission of the Forward Party, because our mission is power to the people. And the only way to get power to the people is to, frankly, take it away from the parties. And if you keep it in the party's hands, then we're sunk, because the parties have very different interests than ours, as demonstrated by, anything you can choose. But I'm going to call out the enhanced child tax credit. It's like there's no sane country that's like, hey, we brought millions of kids out of poverty. You know what we're going to do? Let's send them back to poverty. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But, we did it because the parties aren't connected to the people anymore, really.
No.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.